I know, it's so nice outside and then I get a coat in here. As I said before the break, we had an agenda item. I appreciate you commissioners going along and perhaps getting a brief explanation of the role of the supplemental EIS to the comprehensive plan, in the sense that it does run on a separate public process, if you will, and the role of the State Environmental Policy Act, or SEPA. In the sense of right now, that document is currently under its 30-day comment period. So, Amy, I didn't know if it was you, Stacy, or Todd, in a sense of just a quick thing. I know it wasn't part of a briefing or anything like that, but I guess I just want to tee up the fact that the Planning Commission typically has not commented on SEPA documents as part of any code amendment or annual comp plan amendments, but I think it would be helpful to kind of get an understanding of what this is.
So with your packet for Monday, we included the draft supplemental environmental impact statement. And this is primarily a document to analyze the environmental impacts of the overall comprehensive plan update proposal. And that is a requirement under the State Environmental Policy Act. But there's a secondary purpose for that document, and that is for the Commission. It's one of the pieces of information that you can look at and refer to when you're evaluating the proposal, because it provides some background information and some basic evaluation. Now keep in mind that this is a draft, and so through the comments that we will receive from the public, and there's a public comment period that closes on October 20th.
August.
And, pardon?
August.
I always do that. August 20th. August 20th. We will be, beefing that up and providing more analysis, and then ultimately issuing a final supplemental environmental impact statement in probably November or December. But meanwhile, it's true that commissioners do not typically offer comments on these SEPA documents, but since we were providing it to you as some basic background, we welcome your comments either as individuals or as a full body if you find the time in your meetings to do so. But in addition to that, we know that you'll have other information requests that may occur after August 20th, and of course, not all of your requests and all the information that we provide you would be able to then be incorporated into the SEIS. Does that help answer your question?
I think it might. Other commissioners certainly ask for if you have any questions. I think one of the other things that's important is any comment that's submitted under the EIS approach does warrant a response. So it could be a one sentence, a paragraph, so that those comments, and that's really what SEPA requires, in the sense of everything, and again, a response to it into the final EIS. So you could get quite a lengthy document at the end of the day, but that's certainly part of that review. Commissioners, any questions regarding that? Commissioner Parker.
I may have missed it. Is there any, there's a comment period, is there a public hearing?
No, there is no public hearing.
Anyone else? And as Amy said, that if you have individual comments, or if it's something that you'd like to bring forward to the commission to consider, or maybe the CPU subcommittee, it's not right in our work program right now, but certainly entertaining that, certainly as an individual, if you have comments about the supplemental EIS, you certainly are all citizens to do that. Thank you, Amy. Next on the agenda is we've got two upcoming meetings, as we discussed in our work plan, post-public hearing, if you will, and these are full planning commission meetings, August 1st and August 8th, and the intent of these meetings essentially are to go over the topics that we've heard throughout what we've received from the community, either through oral or written testimony, and for the commission to go through what I'm going to call, for lack of a better term, perhaps a brainstorming of the topics that we've heard, and how do we look at the scope of work for the next couple of months on those topics, and certainly our interface with the comp plan subcommittee. So wanted to talk a little bit about the format, as was mentioned Monday night. Is there something that the full commission might see the use of a facilitator helping us through that? The role of this facilitator certainly is to use an easel board and to write down what we say, not to direct our conversation in a way, and certainly to take feedback from commissioners verbatim and otherwise. I think the purpose I was supportive of a facilitator, perhaps as the chair, I find myself facilitating and maybe not getting a chance to participate as much, but certainly I can step back and have staff do a little bit more of that, not chairing, but being the facilitator of the meeting. But I wanted to get some feedback about the desired format for those meetings. The CPU subcommittee won't meet till August 13th, so I know it predates that. So Rob, have you had any initial comments you wanted to make about thoughts about the form of those meetings on the 1st and the 8th, or any members of the commission?
I don't think I have anything to say.
Okay. How about the feeling of having a facilitator? It's been suggested Kendra Dolan, who worked with us on our retreat. Her familiarity with the commission is already established, if you will. The work on the charter, and then the revised charter, she's become very familiar with that. So, Commissioner Barton, did you? Yeah, we do for the recording.
Oh, for recording, okay. So
So
this got brought up in the CPU subcommittee, and sort of at the end of the meeting, and at first it sounded like an okay idea to me, but then when I thought about it, I just wasn't so crazy about the idea. And I appreciate your idea that you would like to participate more, but there also, maybe is Larry could take over if you wanted, at certain times. But what I'm concerned with, I've worked with a facilitator before. It's usually in a large group. It's usually in a fairly diverse group. Like I was on the wood smoke work group for the state, and that's when we had a lot of industry, different state agencies, and there was, I've seen it facilitator at a lot of different types of meetings, but they usually come together when there's a diverse group and large numbers, and you need to come to consensus. And I don't think we're that type of group. I mean, I think we're 9 people, and we're used to working together. The other idea that I had is that this is our draft now, and staff has had it for a couple of years. It's being developed, and this is our first chance to really get together and sort of sit through it and decide how we're going to handle topics. And I'd like to see us try to do it by ourselves. And then the third thing is just the costs. I don't know how much it costs to hire a facilitator, but it seems like it's a tight budget time.
I think the costs were already addressed in some of the additional monies left over from the contract, but that being aside, I definitely could see we work by ourselves. I think you're right, we're a smaller group, we're not bringing 100 people together, and what we might think would be natural would be a process where facilitation. So I've worked in both settings, so I'm happy to chair the meeting and participate in a dual capacity.
I just see this as, even if they're facilitators trying not to be the nights as well, not trying to put their template or their imprint on it. I think if they're an extra person who does, or something the wrong way, they sort of frame things in their words, and I think it should be our words. For our what topics we want to address and how we want to address them.
I guess I didn't have that concern. If I see somebody put blue house, and that's not what I said teal, I make sure the facilitator put down teal. So I guess it's probably we all have different expectations of what a facilitator is and isn't. Commissioner Parker?
Maybe we should take the management labor example to heart here. Again, without a facilitator, and when things get totally stuck, then you bring in a mediator or a facilitator. So in other words, I wouldn't rule it out completely, but I think that it makes sense to proceed and see if we can manage it ourselves.
Thanks, Commissioner Richards?
I've been supportive of the idea of a facilitator since it was brought up, only because my idea of the reason for the facilitator was to get us through the process, and not like if it was Kendra, not like Kendra took us through our charter. I think that was a very different process where she got us, she led us through this work. This would be more the facilitator helping us get through the housekeeping of the meeting. So it would be more like just facilitating that meeting in the sense of making sure everybody's heard from, just process during the meeting. Instead of taking our words and parsing them into something else and helping us come up with an end product. We would do all of that work without her leadership on that. It would just be in the meeting having a facilitator to get us to the meeting. And that was my understanding of the reason why they didn't want to go that way. That was my thought.
My concern was time frame. It sounds like we're under a tight schedule, and bringing one more person is like adding one more layer, and there's no training for us. I feel confident that we can handle it without additional person. That's really.
I think it's all good comments, and I guess I would be supportive of where Commissioner Parker's resting on, see how we do on August 1st. I'll facilitate the meeting, it'll be same old, in the sense of having some whiteboards up there that we can start, after everybody's digested whatever the package that we're going to receive, and what kind of topics our commissioners see, and kind of rise to the surface, and what we're saying. Let's see, maybe see how it unfolds on August 1st, and if we need to hit the unstuck button, maybe on August 8th. And I think that it was a good idea of the CPA to kind of make that August 1st, and initially was a subcommittee meeting, and then to make that a full commission meeting, because I think that the cart and the horse has been used a couple of times tonight, so I think that was one of the other options. So at this point, I'm hearing kind of it's mediocre. Let's work together as a body and generate our own list of issues and see what would come out. Let's do that. And again, I'm going to look at real quickly, and I'm sorry, I think of what else do we have there on August 1st. Gee, that's all we have that night. So it should be 3 hours and give us a lot of time. Again, I think depending on the record that that we've heard the last 2 nights, the materials, and for commissioners to be kind of gelling this are. Now, Amy, I do have a quick question on the Legistar. So commissioners could already pull up the recording that occurred last Monday. So if they wanted to kind of listen again, is that correct?
Well, yeah, it was posted today, but for some reason it didn't show up, technical difficulties, but it really should be fixed by tomorrow on this, the goal, and then by Friday we should be able to get this one up. I also have the other recording, so if it doesn't work out, I can make the other recordings available to you.
Okay. Just as a note, in case you want to hear again. Commissioner Barton.
I don't know if I'm out of order, but I had this thought when I was thinking about the facilitator and the cost. What I think would be really helpful, we heard some really powerful testimony over the last 2 nights, is maybe taking the money for the facilitator and using that money to transcribe the Legistar. Because, tonight I took notes of when somebody spoke, like it was 7:50, so I could go back to a tape and try to say, but I'm just thinking, if I want to hear somebody's comments again, because it's hard to catch everybody, how am I going to have that in front of me? Especially if somebody And I know, Larry, you were encouraging people to, and Amy, to submit comments, but if people don't, and do we listen through the whole tape?
Well, that's a good point, I don't think that the Register works.
Yeah.
Tracy Towsley, can I speak to that?
You bet.
Jennifer Kinney and I have been taking notes along the way, and so we also noted when speakers at what time they spoke and a general topic, and then a couple of general notes about what they said. So that's something that we had committed to doing for you as a commission. So those will be typed up and available for you. It's not verbatim what people said, but it's a general idea, and that should help guide you through the registrar.
Okay, kind of an annotated timeline, if you will. Okay. Yeah, because Judy's got a good point. There's three or more hours of that and stuff. I don't know what the cost is for transcribed minutes. I know that the last time this commission did that was 2008 for the rezones that occurred there. So maybe we can see how the annotated timeline works. And Stacy and Jennifer, I appreciate you doing that. It's a lot of busy writing. And again, if some folks aren't submitting something written, it makes it even doubly hard to try to get a synopsis. And I would encourage commissioners, you know, obviously, I think we're all going to bring our notes with us. So if somebody picks something up that maybe I didn't catch, I'm going to appreciate that education. Commissioner Moore, anything? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue moving. Let's see where we are on August 1st. I would just encourage that maybe we have some of those sticky boards that we can, I don't know if we could stick those to the walls. I'm trying to get the note tablets that you could just peel off and stick.
Yeah, we have some of those. We can have all kinds of paper available for you if you want.
Okay, well, I just imagine it's kind of a very free form, I call it a brainstorm, but it's just a different type of topic storm, I guess. Next on our agenda here, and I'll try to get us through your commissioners, is reports. Just quickly, the leadership team is going to meet this Friday at 8:30. Robbie, you have a date from last day on confidence subcommittee?
No.
I'm just teasing. I know that on finance subcommittee, Roger has confirmed Jaden Kirkemo for August 10th. Okay. I saw the question and answer list, so that was really good. So, any liaison assignments, I know there were some meetings tonight, but some of us missed the I did, during, the next one is Commissioners Parker and Amy had a draft letter that was sent electronically to commissioners. And I think Amy's got a copy if you didn't print one out. And again, any commissioners that want to sign that, go ahead and provide that signature. And I think it's something that Commissioner Parker is going to deliver to Councilman Langer. Commissioner Parker?
I have to throw myself on your mercy. There was one sentence in the edition I sent out that was utterly incomprehensible. If you'll pass that down, I can take a look and refer it to you. Are there extra copies coming?
There's a bottleneck right now.
Oh, the James Redding bottle. If you look on the second page, the backside where it says the undersigned commissioners, that's what I meant to say, but I certainly didn't say it in the PDF that you got. So please look at the paper copy. I wouldn't want to pressure anyone into a hasty decision that they might regret for the remainder of their life tonight. So would it be acceptable to the chair if we distributed this, maybe answered any questions, and then picked it up again very quickly and just a yes or no on Monday night?
So on August 1st, I think that'd be doable.
Okay.
Give commissioners a chance, and then I appreciate the clarification of the one sentence from the earlier version. So why don't we go ahead and we'll put that on the agenda for the first.
Yeah, the other thing I would add that I obviously didn't incorporate was testimony that we've received. And there were 7 witnesses who emphasized the need to slow things down. Mike McCormick, I thought, made the most compelling arguments. But we had Allsweet, Siegel, and TJ, all, well, who Roger Paulson, Gus, and Troy all made the point that we need to be quite serious about this process. And the first two made the point about the shoreline management and the comprehensive plan need better integration and phasing. I won't summarize all the other five, but I don't think that Paul and I are alone on this issue. There's considerable public concern about the schedule as well.
Commissioner Richards?
I just have a quick question. On the back side, do you have there's a list that says work schedule for the plan that they should follow and not proceed, and then there's a list of things. Is there a date that would be that these things would be accomplished? I mean, do you have? I'm asking for like a sort of a specific timeline. When do you project that you will be ready to do that?
Some of these won't be decided for quite some time, and some of them have a date relevant, such as the draft coming out and the public comment. Yeah, but the 7-Eleven issue, that won't be decided for a year. And the point there is not to wait a year, but rather to be cognizant of the fact that the plan could have regulatory implications, and therefore it can't be just treated as a visionary statement that will only have legs when the code is adopted. 7-Eleven made it very clear that if something's in the comprehensive plan that is not contradicted by zoning, that has regulatory effect. And until that's overturned, I think it is a more cautionary statement than waiting until the court decides. It may be a year, maybe 2 years. The others, I couldn't say how long it would take to do spatial simulation and testing. That's kind of up and down. But I mean, we'll just see where that goes. But in my cover, you'll see members of the Planning Commission. There are two ways I see this going. One is take a wait-and-see approach with our schedule and just see how we're doing, and move along in an expeditious but not a inflexible manner. And the other is to consider these points and do our own revised schedule. And of those two, I favor the wait-and-see, which would simply free us up somewhat from these absolute deadlines.
I think one thing that we've heard, and I think a lot of the people that you mentioned that state, and I've heard people saying that quite a bit also, but I think a lot of those people have also said that we need to tie our development regulations to our comp plan, and that's almost more important than rewriting it is getting those pieces in place and really being able to implement our policies and rules. Can we get to that point? Can we do that work before we rewrite the comp plan? I don't think that we can. So that means another year or so or two to just mean the process is going to have to start over. There's going to have to be more public hearings. I don't see us halting the process now and then not having to do a lot of work over again when we restart it. So that means another couple of years without having the development regulations tied to the comp plan, which means that a lot of things can't get done. So that's my concern about it.
A valid concern.
Commissioner Byrne?
I mean, but you're not suggesting that we totally stop. You're just saying that we continue to work on the comp plan.
Definitely.
Right, and just wait as these pieces come in to maybe make some final decisions or see if they alter them. I mean, I know, I was listening to NPR, I haven't seen it, but Roger Paulson, I don't know if I'm getting his name right, spoke about liquefaction. I know that there was just, I heard on NPR, a report that came out where they did mapping on liquefaction areas in Washington. And it would be really good to see that report
suggesting we wait until all this information is in. I'm just suggesting that we get a better idea of of what is available out there now. And certainly I would think that we have to consider what we've heard tonight and our own review of the July draft before we tie ourselves down to the preliminary schedule that was put before us.
Well, I would also add to my comments that we're always going to be 6 months away from a new report coming out. So at some point, we do have to say, okay, we have to decide that we know enough for the and this thing is amendable every year. So we can always look at a new report, pull a chapter, update it. So we should keep that in mind as we go forward also.
And the proposal, if I may clarify, is simply to have Steve, who's already agreed to attend our August 13th meeting. This letter did not, we didn't have a formal vote, but I know it doesn't express a singular point of view of the update committee. But it does represent the view of at least some of us on the committee, and we wanted to bring it before the whole commission.
Commissioner Horn?
I just wanted to say that I think we'll have a much better idea of where we're at after going through the issues identification on the 1st and the 8th. I mean, if we've got a large list of issues that just can't get done in 5 meetings, it'll become pretty clear that we need to go forward. But on the other hand, if we have a limited number, that could shape our thinking as well. So I guess I would hope that we can be patient, go through that process in a deliberative manner, and then after we see the list of issues, we'll be able to talk to a council member later and explain where we're at.
That's the wait and see approach.
Well, certainly what we know right now is the letter will be back. It'll be on our agenda for August 1st. Commissioners, certainly take a look at it and be prepared, if you support it, to go ahead and sign it that night. And then Commissioner Parker, I'll look to you to convey that to Councilman Langer. I can't see any other business. Is there any other business before? Commissioner Horn.
I just wanted to apologize. I see there's a leadership team meeting on the agenda. That's the same day that we were planning to do our question Q&A with
Yeah, I think we're going to need to move that, yeah.
CFP. So if we can be flexible with the leadership team and move it to the following week, or I hope that doesn't mess up our strategy too much.
No, I think that actually would be consistent with what Commissioner Levine said Monday night, is that the leadership team has been meeting every 2 weeks, and it's just kind of been a set schedule, but maybe having some flexibility in that schedule based on the topic. So I think that's certainly very doable for counseling, because of, I think, what I'd call a much more higher priority. Do you have another comment?
You can have your meeting, but Roger and I won't be there, so.
There we go. Yeah, there's no point in that. So again, so strike through that where it says leadership team on August 10th. That meeting will be canceled. And again, the finance folks will be meeting with staff on the CFP. The other letter that we have handed out, just going around the table right now, is we asked Commissioner Keisha to provide a copy of the letter that she submitted regarding design review boards. So thank you for that. So now we've got that in our packet. And hopefully we'll get a chance to talk with Carrie Hornbein and Steve Criddle and maybe fellow DRB members about the issues you've raised here. So thank you. Commissioner Richards?
I'm just not able to visualize what 5 3 Callaway is.
Yarbirds?
Oh, Callaway. Okay. I was thinking
It's, as she said, Monday, the city with a bunch of, a block with a bunch of cinder blocks all around it and a fence. I can't do it above top. All right, Commissioner Levine?
I guess we don't necessarily have to address this tonight, but I'm wondering where we went wrong in our discussions and deliberations of our comp plan updated charter, that the concerns about timeline did not come up then, because we had 2 meetings to discuss that, and approved the charter unanimously, and maybe the council study session was not the optimal place to bring up concerns, accepting that I tried to do make the comment that I had committed to doing at our deliberation meetings on the charter, that we would be in contact with council and let them know if there were items that we could not properly address. And if it was a matter of things just coming at you too fast or what, I would appreciate knowing you to let me know your personal thoughts, or if we want to not continue the meeting any further. I understand, but it's just important so that throughout our update process, we don't repeat the pattern of making a mistake of thinking that we're all on board on something when we're not. And that's just an important thing for us to do as a group. And I just feel disappointed that we, I had an assumption about that we were all in the car, weren't all in the car, or what have you. That said, I do appreciate it and disagree vehemently in the SMP process when there were times in which I felt we were making a mistake, and once you realize that, you speak up and you try to address it instead of just, well, we're heading off a cliff, but we can't stop now because that doesn't make sense to me. But so I think it's good. I actually really appreciate the tenor of the discussion tonight and the suggestions that Jerry kind of saying I have these 2 options. But I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. It seems like Commissioner Heenan has maybe something to say in response.
I don't want to belabor this, but I was the one that suggested that the city's staff schedule be part of our charter. And the frustrating point for me was, and I'm not going to get the date right, but we had a meeting. It was a regular meeting, and we sat there for about an hour and a half, and we, and it's nobody's fault. It became apparent for me that there was no plan of how we were going to work out the CFB, am I saying that right? And work out the subcommittees and the scheduling, and I mentioned it that night. I sat there for 15, 20 minutes, and that kind of detail that you would expect to have worked out, if you picked an end date, then you should have all that lower level detail, and we're still struggling with this as we speak. So I went into it with the best intentions, if that's what they think we can do, and it's getting more and more complicated. We've heard the diversity of comments tonight, and we now have a few hours to distill that. But that night, for me, was the kicker. And realizing that this lower level detail hadn't been worked out on how we're going to, at this level, and not to be critical, but it seems like it was kind of dumped on us, that they picked it and expect us to work this out. And we struggled to do that. And it was frustrating for Madam Chair and others to make that happen. So it just, so I think that's a result of that. And your point, where you're talking about that we don't want to do SMP again, I think if we lay out a plan early August 1st, just have a discussion, and just to hear your voice as to how you see this is all coming together at a higher level, not just start right in with the issues, but think about how we're going to organize ourselves. And really, and there's lots of different choices as to how we could approach this. I don't want to get into it, but it's that kind of structure that we need in place, and it's going to take time. And then others that I've spoken with, that if we get organized, then we can have a date certain, up front, do that, and then I think we can move. So there was something that happened for me.
Commissioner Barton?
I mean, I had concerns about the timeline just because I've written strategic plans and that type of thing. It just seemed like an awful lot of work. And I was away at a meeting and I sent in comments, but it just didn't get to the meeting at the time. I think they got distributed later, but, you know, even though I sent them in, they didn't get distributed. So I did have concerns and took time to write them up. And again, I would ask if you could, in the leadership team, address the issue of some time of calling into meetings, because I think it would really be helpful.
I'm waiting for the general government.
Oh, okay.
It's hard for me to introduce the issue without general government because of the, as I said earlier, the amendment of the bylaws for all citizen advisory committee.
Okay, so we're waiting for general
I'm
government.
waiting for them to bring the bylaws. I think that the next time they're going to be talking about the planning commission will be August 21st.
Oh,
So
okay.
talk about the membership.
So do we have to actually amend bylaws to do that?
I believe so.
Oh,
It's
okay.
my opinion that would be my recommendation, because that would be consistent for all. What would be the protocols for calling into a meeting? You could call in and listen, but voting would not be part of that. I'm not the city attorney either, so.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. We're having a lot of meetings and just in between work, if you wanted to take any time off, but you could maybe still participate in a meeting at a distance.
No, your concern is very valid.
Yeah.
Well, I think, and I'm going to kick us out of here, but I think you've got 9 members around the table here who, at one time or another, certainly have been concerned about the timeline and what's been set forth, and we all have good justifications on where we feel about that, and in the sense of what we need to tackle here in 2012, 2013. Commissioner Richards brought up the issue about development regulations, neighborhood plans, the issue about what does the lower level detail look like. So let's be ready to go to work. We know that staff is going to work very hard Friday at 5, getting stuff to us, and I want to thank Amy and Stacy and Todd and others that are going to be involved in that, because they're going to do a lot of work for us, and we know we have a lot of work too. It's more than a couple hours, Paul, as we all know. So, but we're ready to go Monday night, and we'll see where we go from there, and maybe we can start ironing out some of that level of detail that might get to some of the things in the letter, because some of this stuff, it just may be 2018 before you get something there. You know, and some of them may be shorter, who knows? All right, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting, and I'll see you Monday night, ladies and gentlemen.
You all, I just want to clarify, I wasn't including, she was taking meeting Monday, she's not throwing a party at her house, she needs Wednesday.
I mean, Wednesday, sorry. No, I will be there Monday.
Amy's cooking us all dinner at her house.